Okay, let's dive in. Have you ever, found yourself just staring out, maybe in your early 20s, thinking, okay, what's the big dream here?
hmm Or maybe you're a bit older, mid-20s, looking around wondering, am I even trying hard enough, compared to others?
Exactly. Or hitting 30, maybe later, and that little voice pops up asking, is it actually too late to start that thing I've always wanted to do?
If any of that feels familiar, and I suspect it does for many, you're tapping into something, well, fundamentally human.
It really is. That struggle with purpose, with finding your way, it connects us all. And today we're doing a deep dive into a source that looks at precisely this question. Where does that real, deep motivation actually come from?
Right. It uses a fascinating lens, a really close look at a book that has, well, struck a chord with millions around the globe.
We're talking about a YouTube video transcript that unpacks Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. And The Alchemist, I mean, it's more than just a book, isn't it? It's kind of a phenomenon.
Definitely. Out over 30 years, 81 languages, sold in, over 170 countries? The source we're looking at even mentions that in Brazil, its popularity is apparently up there with Jesus and football.
Which says a lot about its impact.
It really does. And the source argues why it resonates so much is because people see themselves, their own quests, their own questions mirrored in this seemingly simple story.
Yeah, the story of Santiago, this young shepherd boy from Spain who feels this urge, this dream to find treasure way out near the Egyptian pyramids. It sounds straightforward, but clearly it touches something deep.
And it's interesting how the author's own life seems baked into it. Coelho himself, well, he didn't have an easy path. Rebellion, being institutionalized, even prison time.
Right, and feeling pretty unaccomplished into his late 30s. Then he takes this huge pilgrimage, walking almost 600 kilometers to Santiago de Compostela.
And the source suggests this journey wasn't just physical. It kind of calmed his hot heart, is the phrase used. And those experiences, the searching, the insights, he poured them right into Santiago's story.
So our mission here, in this deep dive, is to pull out the key insights from this analysis. Using Santiago's adventure as our framework, what can this story and how it's interpreted teach you about finding and sticking with your true motivation, your personal legend?
What are the really valuable nuggets we can take away?
Okay, let's start where the source starts right at the beginning of this journey. It sets up this idea that without a clear inner purpose, life can feel like a confusing maze.
hmm
Hmm?
And a really critical point it makes early on is this. You can totally miss your dream if you get too caught up in the calculation of gain and loss.
That constant weighing of pros and cons.
Exactly. Think about Santiago at the start. He's from a normal family.
Mm.
His parents have a very specific, sensible dream for him. Become a priest.
Stable life, security, respect for the family, all the practical stuff, their calculation for a good life.
But Santiago, he felt something different inside. His dream wasn't about staying put. It was about, travel, seeing the world,
Mhm.
adventure,
And he actually finds the courage to tell his father.
which wasn't easy. The follow pushed back initially, trying to talk him out of it. But seeing how genuine it was for Santiago, he eventually compromised. He gave him those 3 gold coins to buy sheep.
Sort of enabling this unconventional path.
Yeah, but the source adds a really lovely layer here. It suggests it wasn't just the father giving in. It might have been something deeper, like an applause from the heart. Maybe the father himself had harbored similar dreams of travel when he was young.
Oh, that puts a different spin on it. Recognizing his own unlived dream, maybe, by letting his son go pursue his.
And the source points out this isn't unique. Think about other characters in the book who had dreams they put aside. The popcorn seller dreaming of Africa.
The crystal merchant who always wanted to go to Mecca.
Right. Even the robbers, ironically, dreaming of treasure just like Santiago. They all had something they yearned for.
So why did they give up? What does the source say?
It usually boils down to that pressure of reality, getting bogged down in that calculation of gain and loss, focusing too much on what they might lose, the risks involved, instead of the sheer power of the initial desire.
So the first big takeaway for you listening, just be aware of how much mental energy you spend calculating the risks versus honoring that initial spark, that genuine pull you feel. It definitely takes courage, but also maybe just a quiet commitment to step outside the comfort zone.
Which leads directly to the next point our source emphasizes.
Yeah.
You actually have to do something. You have to heed the call, take that first step.
Santiago did it. He didn't become a priest. He left home, bought his sheep, became a shepherd, and for 2 years he lived that choice. He saw new places, met people, learned things. He was living a version of his desire.
And then comes the next catalyst, the bigger push. that recurring dream. Treasure, pyramids, Egypt. He doesn't ignore it, he seeks help to understand it. That leads him to the King of Salem.
And the king gives him this key piece, defining destiny or personal legend simply as what we really want to do. He connects the dream back to Santiago's existing desire to see the world.
Makes it feel less random, more like a continuation.
Right. But even then, even with this validation, Santiago hesitates. The treasure sounds great, sure, but his current life.
Hmm.
It's comfortable. He knows it. He's got his routine, his sheep.
He almost falls into that trap, just like the crystal merchant or the others, weighing the known comfort against the unknown quest. That calculation again.
But the king's words seem to cut through it. They remind him what his core, lifelong dream actually was. Traveling, exploring. The treasure is just the current focus for that same underlying drive.
And the source uses this moment to talk about regret, which is really powerful.
Yeah, this part really struck me. It mentions a study suggesting we tend to regret the things we didn't do, the chances we didn't take, much more intensely than the things we tried and maybe failed at.
Because failures, you can sort of process them, right? You learn something, you adjust. But the dreams you never even pursued, they just linger. They can't be rationalized away because you never found out what could have happened.
It's like a constant what if.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the source uses this great analogy. Dreams are like hot steel. You've got to work them, shape them when the passion is there, when the heat is high. If you let them cool down, they become rigid, hard, almost impossible to reshape later.
Wow, that's a vivid image.
Isn't it? The message is pretty clear. Act when the desire is strong. Take the step then. Even if you don't reach the ultimate perfect outcome, the very act of trying changes you. The source says it makes you a better version of yourself just by making the effort.
Okay, so you take the step, you start the journey, but it's rarely smooth sailing, right? Santiago learns that fast in Africa.
Oh, immediately. Huge challenges. First, the language barrier, total confusion, and then, boom, he hits everything he had, the value of a sheep, gone.
Just like that. Broke, alone, in a place he doesn't know or understand. That's devastating.
Absolutely. And he hits rock bottom. He thinks about turning back, going home to that comfortable life he left. He feels completely defeated.
But then there's a shift. What does the source say turns it around?
He remembers. He remembers those words from the King of Salem, that powerful idea. When you really want something, the whole universe will conspire to help you achieve it.
Even when things look absolutely hopeless.
Yeah. That memory, that flicker of belief, gives him just enough courage not to completely give up.
And he doesn't just, wait for help. He gets proactive.
Right. He picks himself up, looks around, and sees this struggling crystal shop. The crystals are dirty, so he offers to clean them, just for some food.
And he shows initiative, too, right? He just starts cleaning before the owner even fully agrees.
Exactly, which attracts customers right away.
Yeah.
And that initiative lands him the job.
Okay, so he's found a foothold. But this job, it becomes a pretty long detour, doesn't it?
It does. He works there for a good while, earns money, gets stable again. But he also realizes Egypt, the pyramids, his dream. It's still incredibly far away, thousands of kilometers. And that despair starts to creep back in.
It's easy to lose sight of the big picture when you're stuck in the day-to-day.
For sure. But the source highlights his adaptability here. He consciously, temporarily, stops focusing only on that distant, maybe overwhelming dream. He puts his energy into the present task, earning money, learning the trade.
And he thrives there, doesn't he? He actually helps the business.
He does. Because he's still driven underneath it all, he brings new ideas, helps the owner double his money within a year, and crucially, Santiago himself grows immensely during this time.
He learns business skills.
Learns Arabic, skills he definitely wouldn't have picked up just wandering with sheep.
So the source reframes these kinds of challenges, these detours. If you have that clear inner purpose, they're not just random bad luck or obstacles.
No, they're seen as tests to temper us, opportunities to build resilience, learn new things, essentially stepping stones for growth.
That's a much more empowering way to look at setbacks. Which brings him to another major crossroads after the crystal shop.
Yeah, big choice. He's earned a lot of money now. He could easily become a wealthy merchant himself, settle into a comfortable, successful life right there.
The owner even tries to convince him, right? Offers him partnerships, security, the sensible option.
Definitely the sensible option. But Santiago, he hears that echo again, the king's words. You must always remember what you want.
And what he wants isn't just wealth or comfort. It's the pyramids, the original quest.
So he makes that incredibly difficult choice. He walks away from the money, the security, the known comfort to continue the journey into the unknown desert.
This is where the source talks about letting go, isn't it?
Yes, and it's such a key concept. It argues that real living, pursuing what truly matters to you, often demands the ability to release your grip on comfort, on security, even on immediate pleasure or success.
It takes a certain kind of courage to let go of something good for the possibility of something aligned with your deepest self.
And the source notes this is something you often see in people who achieve great things, that willingness to sacrifice the immediate for the long-term vision.
Thus, then comes perhaps the biggest test of letting go, or the biggest temptation to not let go: love.
Ah, yes, Fatima at the oasis. He falls deeply in love. And for a moment, he's ready to abandon everything, the dream, the quest, his whole purpose, just to stay there with her.
It's completely understandable.
Totally. But something pulls him back. His dreams again, maybe that inner knowing, the connection to the alchemist. He has a crucial realization.
What's that?
He understands that if he gave up his personal legend, his core dream, for her, it wouldn't just lead to his own lifelong regret. That unspoken sacrifice, that what if, would eventually poison the relationship itself. It would become a burden on the person he loves.
Wow. So true love doesn't require you to abandon your path.
Exactly. The source reinforces it here. Real, sustainable motivation isn't about pleasing others or finding external validation. It has to come from that inner fervor, that soaring heat within your own heart.
So he chooses the path again, pushes on towards the pyramids. But the journey isn't done testing him.
Not by a long shot. The final leg brings the most intense challenges. He gets captured by soldiers near the pyramids.
And loses all his money.
Again. And then they give him this completely impossible task. Turn yourself into the wind in 3 days, or we'll face death.
I mean, how do you even respond to that?
It's the ultimate test, right?
Right.
But his response is incredible. He doesn't crumble. He draws on everything he's learned. He uses his heart, uses love, to try and communicate with the world around him, the desert, the sun, the wind.
He's trying to tap into that soul of the world the book talks about.
Exactly. Learning the language of the universe, inspired by the alchemist. And somehow, miraculously, he does it. He becomes the wind. He transcends the physical challenge through interconnection.
It's this amazing metaphorical moment. But then, the final twist at the pyramids themselves. He digs where his dream told him to.
And finds nothing. Gets robbed and beaten up again. It seems like the ultimate failure after everything.
But it's right there in that moment of defeat that he gets the final clue.
Yes. One of the robbers, mocking him for following a dream, shares his own recurring dream about a treasure buried back in Spain,
Under a sycamore tree.
in the exact ruined church where Santiago started his journey with his sheep.
It's such a paradox. He goes all the way around the world through unbelievable hardship just to find out the treasure was back home all along. Did he just waste all that time and effort?
And the source argues very strongly. Absolutely not. That's missing the entire point.
Okay, unpack that.
All the things he sought, the people he met, the skills he learned, Arabic, business, understanding omens, connecting with the world, finding resilience that was the real treasure. The journey itself transformed him.
The ups and downs weren't obstacles to the goal. They were the goal, in a way.
They were the experiences that shaped him, that made him the person who could finally understand the treasure's true location and, more importantly, appreciate its value, both literal and metaphorical.
It reminds me of that Nietzsche quote the source mentions. Something about having a why.
He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow. That's the one. If that dream, that purpose, is truly alive inside you, the difficulties don't crush you. They actually reveal your strength.
And the author's point, highlighted by the source, is that having this ability, this potential to realize a dream, that's what makes life rich and meaningful.
We all have this incredible potential. And the source finishes this section beautifully by reframing life itself. It's not just about the number of days we live,
But the days that are truly worth remembering because of the experiences, the growth, the challenges overcome.
Exactly.
So let's bring this back home for you, the listener. We started with those questions about dreams, about purpose, maybe feeling stuck or unsure. What have we pulled from this source's look at Santiago's journey?
Well, we saw the danger of getting lost in calculation, letting fear of loss outweigh the pull of desire. We saw how absolutely crucial it is to take that first, often scary step.
We saw how detours and challenges aren't necessarily failures, but can be reframed as opportunities for growth, as tests that make you stronger if you keep your purpose in mind.
We talked about the power of letting go, releasing comfort and security to pursue something deeper. And we really anchored true motivation inside, in that inner fervor, not in external pressures or rewards.
And maybe the biggest point, the journey itself holds immense value. The transformation along the way might actually be more precious than whatever tangible treasure you find at the end.
This story hits home because really we all face versions of these choices, these challenges, these moments of doubt and inspiration in our own lives.
So what does this mean for you? When you're thinking about a change, facing a tough spot, or wondering if you should dust off that old dream?
The core message from this analysis seems incredibly clear. If you have that dream, that genuine inner pull, listen to it, pursue it. Don't let the reality checks or the fear completely snuff it out. Keep that flame alive.
And the source makes a really bold statement. At the end of the day, the only person who can truly stop you from living the life you deeply desire is yourself.
That motivation, that drive, it has to come from within, from that inner core.
And you need to hold on to the belief, as the source suggests, that there really is no tomorrow you can't reach if you stay aligned with that purpose.
So the encouragement is, listen to your heart, be brave enough to own your desires, step onto your path, learn from the challenges, and, make your life shine.
And maybe, just maybe, consider this. Perhaps the real treasure isn't something you find out there at the end of the road, but it's who you become while you're on the way. What journey is calling to you right now?